Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto got rejected by his sensei for the Chunin exam finals, then he unlocks a rare Uzumaki bloodline part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. If you haven't seen part 1, then you can watch it from the link given in the description. And now let's start the fanfic. Tanzaku Town. After running for nearly 8 hours, Naruto and Jiraiya finally arrived at Tanzaku Town. Along the way, Naruto finally managed to pop the balloon after 2 hours of trying, and Jiraiya made him practice it until he was able to do it in an instant. Naruto wanted to move on to the next step, but Jiraiya told him to give his chakra network a break and they would do the next step in a few days. As they were walking around, Naruto could tell that this place would attract any kind of gambler, even the likes of Tsunade. Naruto decided to test his luck at a lottery ticket, and to his and Jiraiya's surprise, he actually won off of his first ticket. Naruto didn't even try to win again since he had more than enough money to last him a couple of months. Alright, Naruto, I doubt she's here yet, but given the buzz around this place, I'd say she'll be here within 2 weeks. I'll book us a hotel, and for the next 2 weeks, I'll be working with you on your taijutsu and breaking down hand signs from your jutsus to use them faster. Is there anything specific you want to work on besides this jutsu? Jiraiya asked. Yeah, I want to work on my fuinjutsu, but not the ordinary stuff. I want to learn some juinjutsu, or at least methods of removing some. Naruto said, and Jiraiya sighed. Listen kid, juinjutsu is no joke and it takes years to master. Jiraiya said. I know that, but we have my shadow clones, remember? We'll be speeding up time if we use them. Naruto said. I'll teach you. Why do you want to know juinjutsu so bad? Jiraiya asked. I don't know. I just have a feeling that I'll need it in the future. Naruto said. Alright, starting tomorrow we begin training. I'll have you work on the second stage and physical training while I work with your clones for a few hours. Jiraiya said. Alright, Naruto said. 2 weeks later. 2 weeks has arrived and a few of Jiraiya's spies have contacted him, letting him know Tsunade was now in Tanzaku Town. What made him confused was that earlier in the day, Tsunade hit the jackpot consistently and won a ton of money. Over the past 2 weeks, Jiraiya worked Naruto into the ground. He needed less hand signs for all of his jutsus. His taijutsu was even better than before. He managed to get past the second step in his jutsu, which required him to pop a rubber ball. Jiraiya kept his word and taught Naruto some juinjutsu releasing methods that Naruto took to like a fish in water. Currently, Jiraiya had Naruto working on the final step to his jutsu, which relies on him combining the first and second steps together. Alright, Naruto. According to my sources, Tsunade is in town. She's been here for a few days and we've been gone from the Leaf Village for over 2 weeks. I want you to make some shadow clones and have each of them try to locate her to make it easier to find her. Jiraiya said. I don't even know what she looks like. Naruto said. This is what she looks like. Jiraiya said and held up a picture of Tsunade. You just happen to have a picture of her with her boobs being the main focus. That's not weird at all. Naruto said sarcastically. Shut up. Just make the damn clones. Jiraiya said. Alright, alright. Naruto said and made 100 shadow clones that spread out to find her. Now, when they find her, let me know which direction and we'll head that way. Jiraiya said. Alright, Naruto said and then started to work on the final stage of his jutsu. With the way you progress in everything, I'm starting to think you were faking it being horrible all this time. Jiraiya said. I wish. I guess I just needed the right teacher to guide me. Naruto said. That sounded like a compliment. Jiraiya said. It is. I mean, you actually know what you're talking about and take time to help correct my flaws. Naruto said. Well, I'm not one of the legendary Sannin for nothing. Jiraiya said and puffed his chest out. Yeah. But you're still a pervert. Naruto said and Jiraiya deflated. Way to ruin the moment. Jiraiya mumbled and Naruto's clones popped. I found her. She's going towards that big castle. If we hurry, we can catch her before she goes any further. Naruto said. Let's go. Jiraiya said, and they vanished. Giant castle. I assume it's safe to say we have a deal here then. Orochimaru asked Tsunade after he just offered to bring her loved ones back to life if he healed her arms. Fire style. Fireball jutsu. Orochimaru, Kabuto, Tsunade and Shizune all jumped out of the way from a gigantic fireball that came crashing down in between them. The smoke cleared, revealing Jiraiya and Naruto standing there with a glare. Jiraiya. Tsunade said. Well, if it isn't the other member of the legendary Sannin. Orochimaru said. Look, he even brought a child with him. Kabuto said, trying to taunt Naruto, who just activated his dojutsu, and the Kabuto collapsed on the ground. What? Orochimaru thought. Seems we've arrived at the right moment. Jiraiya said. Lord Jiraiya. Shizune said. What did they do to Kabuto? Tsunade thought. I believe it's time for you to grab your lapdog and leave. Naruto said and pulled out a kunai. You're no match for me. I can kill you before you even think about moving. Orochimaru said. You could, but Pervy Sage would reach you before you get to me. Do you want to test your luck? Naruto asked, and Orochimaru gritted his teeth. I expect an answer by the end of the week, Tsunade. Orochimaru said, and then Kabuto woke up, then they vanished. Jiraiya. We need to talk. Jiraiya said, interrupting Tsunade. We can go grab something to eat. Shizune said. Let's go. Jiraiya said and walked away with Naruto following behind him. Restaurant. Talk. What did Orochimaru want? Jiraiya asked, and Tsunade didn't say anything. He just wanted to stop by and say hello. Tsunade finally said, and Jiraiya slammed his hand on the table. Bullshit. He wants something from you. What does he want? Jiraiya asked. Master Jiraiya, perhaps we should keep it down. People are beginning to stare at us. Shizune said. Fine. Tsunade. Won't talk, so you'll have to. What did Orochimaru want? Jiraiya asked. Shizune. That's enough. Not another word. Tsunade said. This is a waste of my time. To think you'd betray the village your grandfather built for a traitor like Orochimaru. I thought you were better than this, Tsunade. You truly disappointed me. Jiraiya said, and Tsunade was actually hurt by his words. You wouldn't understand. Tsunade said. It doesn't matter. If you go through with whatever he wants your help with, then I'll kill both of you myself. Jiraiya said, and Tsunade flinched. Just leave. Tsunade said. Fine. To think the village actually wanted somebody like you to become Hokage and led us. You're a shell of yourself now. What happened to the women I loved growing up? It's time to train, kid. Jiraiya said. Who's he? Shizune asked. My new apprentice. Jiraiya said. Oh, in that case, I'm Shizune, Lady Tsunade's apprentice. Nice to meet you. Shizune said. Naruto. Nice to meet you. Naruto said, staring at Tsunade. Those can't be real. Naruto thought. What are you looking at, kid? Jiraiya asked. Are those real? Naruto asked, pointing to Tsunade's breasts, and Jiraiya choked on his food. Excuse me. Tsunade asked. Are they real? I mean, they're so big. Your back must hurt a lot from walking around with those things. How about a neck massage? Naruto asked as he went behind Tsunade. Naruto. I don't think you should do that. Jiraiya said. Come on, Pervy Sage. Enko told me this works for her, and she's got some soft big ones as well. Naruto said. How do you know? Jiraiya asked. She let me feel them after she gave me the talk. Naruto said, and Jiraiya couldn't help it, so he pulled out his notepad, scribbling something down, giggling. Oh wow. This feels amazing. Tsunade said. You're really tense in your neck and shoulder area. You should get a massage more frequently. Naruto said, and started to work on the knots in her shoulders. Oh, that's the spot. Tsunade said. What the hell? How's he doing that? I can't even place a finger on Tsunade before she beats me up, and he's giving her a massage. Jiraiya thought. Given from how tense you are, you seem to be under a lot of stress. Naruto said and Tsunade sighed. That's an understatement. Tsunade said and flinched when Naruto started to work on another knot in her shoulders. What's got you so stressed out? Naruto asked. This deal with Orochimaru. He wants me to heal his arms and in exchange he said he'll bring my brother and boyfriend back to life. I don't know what to do. On one hand I don't want to help him, I'd rather kill him. On the other hand there's a chance that I'll be able to see my loved ones again. Tsunade said and then her eyes went wide as she saw a smirk on Jiraiya's face. Nice work kid. Jiraiya said. Son of a bitch. Tsunade said as Naruto sat back down. Thanks pervy sage. Naruto said. I really wish you wouldn't call me that. Jiraiya said. How did you do that? Shizune asked. I grew up on the streets for 2 years. I learned how to manipulate people and get answers in nonviolent ways. That and Anko helped me out with some tips just in case I ever had a seduction mission. Anyway, she had quite a few drinks of the strongest sake available and I waited for the right moment to strike. A cloudy mind and a nice massage works a lot apparently. You should really get a massage more often. Your large breasts are hurting your shoulders. Ever thought about getting some custom-made bras to hold them up? Naruto asked. You're pretty straightforward. Tsunade said. Was that rude? I made the same mistake with Tamari. I like your necklace. Naruto said. What? Tsunade asked. I'm not really good at holding conversations with people, mainly females. I'm usually having a one-way conversation with everyone ignoring me. I'm getting better I think. Naruto said. Anyway, I hope you're not thinking about helping Orochimaru because I can tell you that it won't be smart if you did. Jiraiya said. What makes you say that? Tsunade asked. Well, the jutsu he wants to use is the forbidden jutsu your uncle created. He'll bring them back to life, but they'll only be a reanimation. He's already brought back Hashirama and Tobirama to fight Sensei when he invaded during the Chunin exams. Jiraiya said. I heard about that. Nice job using Gamabunta to take out the one-tailed beast. I see you haven't lost a step. Tsunade said with a small smile. I didn't summon Gamabunta. I was still trying to help Sensei, but the barrier Orochimaru's lackeys used was stronger than I thought. Naruto was the one who summoned Gamabunta and defeated the One-Tails. Jiraiya said. Seriously? How? He's just a kid. Tsunade said. Can I show her? Naruto asked. Yeah. Jiraiya said and Naruto activated his dojutsu. The Hishigan. Tsunade whispered. The what? Naruto asked. Let's talk somewhere else. Tsunade said and they left. Jiraiya Hotel. So what's the Hishigan? Jiraiya asked. It's a dojutsu that was rare amongst the Uzumaki clan. My grandmother, Mito Uzumaki told me once that not many Uzumaki can use this dojutsu because they never go through enough emotional trauma. The fact that you awakened it tells me you've had a hard life growing up. Tsunade said. That's an understatement. Naruto mumbled. So what exactly does it do? So far all we know is that he can see chakra pathways, he's immune to genjutsu when it's activated and can cast a genjutsu that shuts the body down for 30 seconds. It's how he defeated Shukaku. Jiraiya said. Another thing is that whoever has the Hishigan will be able to use the Ice Keke Genkai. You can cast genjutsu with them like the Sharingan, but only one person has been able to do that and that was Ashina Uzumaki, the clan head. That genjutsu that shuts down the body isn't a genjutsu per se. It's a hidden ability that temporarily disrupts a person's brain waves and shuts the body down. Tsunade said. Whoa. Naruto said. Is that everything? Jiraiya asked. Yeah. Now, why did you go through so much as a child? Didn't your parents look for you? Tsunade asked. My parents are dead. I'm the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and that should tell you everything you need to know. Naruto said. Didn't anybody take care of you? Tsunade asked. No. Sensei was supposed to look after him for me, but it turns out he's been lying to me when I asked for reports on how he was doing and if I needed to return to the village. Jiraiya said. Why would he look after him for you? Tsunade asked. He's my godson. I couldn't take him with me since I was constantly on the live with my spy network, so I left him in Sensei's care. Jiraiya said. Godson. I was supposed to be a godmother, but Kushina didn't make it and neither did her son. Tsunade said and wiped a tear away. She's my godmother. Naruto thought. Tsunade, this is Naruto. He's Kushina's son. I don't know who told you he was dead, but he's been in the village this entire time. Jiraiya said and Tsunade grabbed him by his shirt. Do not play with me. This is serious, Jiraiya. Tsunade said. Look at him. Don't you see the resemblance? You should know who his father is. Don't say anything. He decided to want to know who his mother is first rather than his father. He's alive, Tsunade, and I should have looked for you myself to tell you, but I was too caught up in my missions protecting Naruto from outside threats. Jiraiya said and Tsunade dropped him then pulled Naruto in for a hug. I'm so sorry. If I had known you were alive I would have come back for you and raised you. Tsunade said. Why weren't you in the village anyway? Naruto asked. I left the village after the second shinobi war after my brother and boyfriend at the time died. I came back occasionally and met your mother a few times and even allowed her to sign the slug contract if she wanted to contact me. That's how I found out about you. I was on my way back to the village when an Anbu with a gorilla mask told me Kushina and her son died in the Nine Tails attack. I've been gone ever since and I've just been drinking my sorrows away. Tsunade said. Then come back to the village. I don't have a mom in my life and we need a Hokage. You'd be perfect for both. Naruto said. I don't know if I can do that. I haven't been in the village in years. I'm an alcoholic and I'm in serious debt. I'm the last person you should want as the Hokage. Jiraiya should take the seat. Tsunade said. His first order would be for women to walk around topless. Do you really want him to have the seat? Naruto asked. Listen, Naruto. I'm just not cut out for the job. Tsunade said. How about a bet? Naruto asked and Tsunade of course fell for it. I'm listening. Tsunade said. Pervy Sage is teaching me a jutsu. If I can't have it complete in 3 days then I'll give you my toad wallet that's filled with money. If I do get the jutsu finished in 3 days, then you have to come back to Konoha and become Hokage. Naruto said. You're on. I'll even throw in my grandfather's necklace. Tsunade said. Pervy Sage, I'll see you in 3 days. Naruto said and walked out with Shizune following him leaving the two Sannin alone. You know he's gonna win that bet. Jiraiya said. I know. I was going to come back regardless to be close to him. I wanted to talk to you alone. Tsunade said. About what? Jiraiya asked. Was his life really that bad? Doesn't he have any friends? Tsunade asked. He didn't go into full detail about his life with me. He only told me bits and pieces. As for friends, he has one. A girl named Tamari from Suna. Jiraiya said. The Kage's daughter. How'd that happen? Tsunade asked. They met during the Chunin exams from my understanding. Seemingly enough you'd think they have a thing for each other, but that's not the case. He said they're just friends and you'd swear they've known each other all their life from how close they've gotten over the month break between the finals of the Chunin exams. Jiraiya said. Just one friend and she's basically royalty. That's interesting. Doesn't he have any other friends? Tsunade asked. No. He realized that nobody was really his friend and they never paid attention to him when he would talk to them. He's never actually held a conversation, which is why he thought he was being rude when mentioning your breasts and quickly apologized then complimented you on your jewelry. It's a work in progress, but I think he's getting the hang of it. Jiraiya said. What's he like? Tsunade asked. He's a combination of Minato and Kushina. Of course he has the Uzumaki temper, but I think Minato's calm-like attitude balances him out. He can figure stuff out quickly, but he just needs a little push in the right direction. The jutsu he's learning is the Rasengan and he's nearly completed it. It hasn't even been a month yet. Jiraiya said and then there was a silence between them until Tsunade spoke up. Why didn't we ever work out? Tsunade asked. You rejected me pretty bad on a day I was just checking up on you. I know you were going through some things after losing Dan and Nawaki, but I was only there as a friend that you needed. Jiraiya said. I know and I'm sorry. It's just I knew you were jealous that I started dating Dan and I thought you were probably going to talk bad about him. I know you aren't that kind of person, but I wasn't thinking straight. Tsunade said. That's why I decided to give you your space after that day. Jiraiya said. You haven't spoken to me in 2 decades. I thought you hated me. Tsunade said. I didn't hate you. I hated what you said to me and how you showed no remorse for it. I decided to focus on my spy network and then Naruto was born so I had to work even harder. Jiraiya said. Does the village really want me to become Hokage? Tsunade asked. They were going to give me the hat, but I turned it down and recommended you. Jiraiya said. Then if this is a mission of that caliber, then why'd you bring Naruto along? Tsunade asked. The elders wanted to send Anbu with me and they'd slow me down. He's my apprentice and I wanted to train him some more and get him out of the village. That and I figured it was time you two met. Jiraiya said. Naruto and Shizune. Naruto, can I talk to you? Shizune asked. Sure. Naruto said. You need to call off the net with Lady Tsunade. Shizune said. Why? Naruto asked. Because that necklace is cursed. Every time she gave it to somebody, they ended up dying. Shizune said. Listen, she's the one who offered the necklace. I just wanted her to come back to the village to become Hokage and finally have some kind of family. Naruto said. I understand that, but you shouldn't take the necklace. It can kill you. It's bad luck. Shizune said. I have a giant fox sealed into my gut and I've already had Leaf Ninja try to kill me. A little more bad luck won't hurt me. Naruto said. Leaf Ninja? Shizune asked. I've already said too much. I need to start training and win this bet. Naruto said. Don't say I didn't warn you. Shizune said and left. You can come out now. Naruto said and 2 figures walked out wearing black cloaks with red clouds. Not bad. He was able to sense our presence. He's more interesting than I thought, Itachi. A blue shark-looking man said. Indeed he is, Kisame. Naruto, we would like for you to come with us. You have something that we need. Itachi said. He must be talking about the 9 tails. Naruto thought. He might try to run. Allow me to cut off his legs. Kisame said and pulled a giant sword off his back. What if I were to decline this invitation? Naruto asked. It would not be wise for you to do that. Itachi said and activated his Sharingan. So, you must be Sasuke's brother. Naruto said. He is. He's already dealt with that nuisance and now we're about to deal with one more. Make this interesting for me. Since I can't kill you, create some of those shadow clones you're known for and allow me to kill them. Kisame said with a grin. How about no? Now, leave me alone. I have something to do. Naruto said and turned around only for Kisame to appear in front of him. I warned you. Kisame said and raised his sword to attack, but Naruto activated his Hishigan and Kisame collapsed. What was that? Itachi thought and kicked Naruto away. Would you like to join him? Naruto asked. You placed him in a genjutsu, but there's no foreign chakra in his body. Itachi said. That's because he's not in a genjutsu. He's temporarily dead. Naruto said and Jiraiya landed in front of him. Itachi Uchiha. Jiraiya said. Jiraiya of the legendary Sannin. We will meet again, Naruto. Itachi said and grabbed Kisame before vanishing. You alright kid? Jiraiya asked. Yeah, I'm okay. All he did was kicked me away when Kisame fell to the ground. Naruto said. That dojutsu saves your life and bought me some time. Let's head back. You can start training tomorrow. Jiraiya said. What about my bet? I'll only have 2 days left instead of 3. Naruto said. Trust me kid. With your luck and Tsunade's terrible luck, you'll win this bet. Jiraiya said. I guess you're right. Naruto said. They left the area and went back to the hotel to rest up for the night. Naruto made sure he had everything he needed to complete the Rasengan and win the bet. That wasn't the only thing on his mind. He wanted to know why Kisame and Itachi were really after him and how they would deal with Orochimaru in a few days. The 5th Hokage. 2 days have passed since Naruto and Jiraiya found Tsunade, and to Naruto it was fun. He bonded with Tsunade over the past 2 days and they were instantly like mother and son. She told him how to talk to women better with the help of Jiraiya and Shizune. He was able to talk to girls now without feeling awkward and even met a few that were his age while walking around the town. Of course he was a natural at charming women and Jiraiya even bribed him with a jutsu to help him score some women at the brothel house. The result of this was Tsunade beating Jiraiya within an inch of death once she found out. Another thing he found out was Tsunade had an extreme case of hemophobia. He came back to the hotel one day after training and asked Tsunade to heal some of his wounds and she froze at the sight of his blood. Shizune explained the reasons why she's afraid of blood due to the loss of her lover Dan and her little brother Naoki. Naruto, being the lovable person that he is, came up with a plan to help Tsunade get over her fear of blood. Flashback. Naruto, what's on your mind? Shizune asked. Granny Tsunade's fear of blood. It's a weakness that can easily be exposed during a fight and I don't want that to happen to her. Naruto said. I understand, but these things take time to get over. Shizune said. It's been nearly 30 years. She's had more than enough time to get over it. Naruto said. Well, some people take more time than others. Shizune said. What if I'm in danger and her fear of blood prevents her from saving me? Wait a minute. I got it. Naruto said. What? Shizune asked. We'll use me to get her over her fear of blood. Naruto said. How exactly are we going to do that? You have the 9 tails inside of you and it heals any major wounds. Shizune said. Then we'll use a blood clone. We can give it an injury that only she can heal and it will force her to get over her hemophobia. I doubt she'd want to lose her only family member left, so I'm positive she'll ignore the blood and save the clone. Naruto said. That's a brilliant idea. Do you know how to use the blood clone jutsu? Shizune asked. Yeah, I just need to draw blood and then do 2 quick hand signs for it. Naruto said. We need an injury that's too severe for me to heal, but not too severe that it will destroy the clone. Lady Tsunade personally trained me so there isn't much that I can't heal. Shizune said. Do you operate near the heart? Naruto asked. No, I've never been in a situation that required surgery near the heart. Oh, I see what you plan on doing. Shizune said. After we make the clone, stab the clone in the chest, but have it barely scrape the heart and rush the clone to Tsunade. She'll either have to let me die or get over her fear of blood and heal me. Naruto said. Do we tell Master Jiraiya the plan? Shizune asked. No, pervy sage should be kept in the dark about this. We need his reaction to be legit. Naruto said. We need a backstory for the injury. Shizune said. Tell her Kabuto attacked me while I was training. Use your chakra scalpels to do damage around the clone's body and then stab the clone in the chest with a kunai. Naruto said. It's almost scary how well thought this plan is. Shizune said and Naruto just shrugged. Few hours later. Lady Tsunade. I need your help. Shizune yelled as she burst into their hotel room. What is it? Tsunade asked. It's Naruto. Kabuto attacked him while he was training. Shizune yelled and laid the clone on the bed. Then heal him. Tsunade said. I can't. I've never done anything near the heart. He was hit by chakra scalpels and then stabbed near the heart. He's bleeding everywhere. Shizune said. Hey, what's with all the noise? Jiraiya asked as he came into the room. Kabuto attacked Naruto and I can't operate around the heart. Shizune said. What? Tsunade, you have to do something. Jiraiya said. I can't. Tsunade said frozen to where she was standing. Lady Tsunade, please. Shizune said. I can't. Tsunade said. Damn it. Tsunade, get your ass over here and save my godson. Jiraiya said and Tsunade shook her head. It's okay, pervy sage. We all have to die sometime, right? The clone asked and coughed up blood. Damn it Tsunade. Get your ass over here. Jiraiya yelled. He's losing too much blood. He won't make it much longer. Shizune said, trying her best, and Jiraiya had enough, so he dragged Tsunade over to Naruto's body. Look at this. I can't believe you're willing to let your godson die. You're a disgrace to the medical corps. Jiraiya said and stormed out of the room. Lady Tsunade, please help him. I thought you didn't want to lose any more family members. Shizune said. I can't. Tsunade said, and then the clone stopped breathing, so Shizune moved away from the body with blood on her hands. I hope you're happy. Shizune said and placed a blanket over the clone's body. End Naruto. Tsunade said and hoped it was a lie, but got no response. It's over, Lady Tsunade. I'll go tell Master Jiraiya what happened. Shizune said and left the room. Naruto, please wake up. Tsunade said. She didn't get an answer, so she hesitantly went over to the body, pulled the blanket back and checked for a pulse. It was faint, but still there, so she slowly got to work and had to catch herself from stopping. The pulse grew stronger after a while, and now the hard part came. She had to remove the kunai and be prepared for the blood to shoot out. She got herself together, and once the kunai was out, she was sprayed with blood, but didn't let that stop her. It took some time and a few close calls, but she finally healed him. That's when Tsunade heard the door open, revealing Shizune, Jiraiya and Naruto. Tsunade was confused as Naruto was just dying until she saved his life. Naruto. But how? You were just dying. Tsunade said. It was a blood clone, Lady Tsunade. Naruto wanted to help you get over your hemophobia, so me and him came up with this plan. Seems like it worked since you're covered in blood and you aren't freaking out. Shizune said, and then Tsunade realized she was actually covered in blood. Was Jiraiya in on it as well? Tsunade asked. I just found out right before we came in the room. Jiraiya said. By the look of it, Lady Tsunade, you aren't scared of blood anymore. You're covered in it and you aren't panicking. Shizune said, and then Tsunade realized that Shizune was telling the truth. Wait, so Kabuto didn't attack you? Tsunade asked. Nope. Him and Orochimaru are most likely hiding until you give them your answer. Now, it's time to train. Naruto said. Oh yeah, you still have to master the Rasengan. Jiraiya said. I've got a few clones working on that. This training is for Granny Tsunade. Naruto said, and Tsunade's eye twitched. Will it kill him to stop calling me that? Tsunade thought. Train her for what? Shizune asked. To fight. It's clear that she's rusty, and since she's family, I don't want anything happening to her. We can have a fight between the two of us. Naruto said. You do realize she's one of the legendary Sannin, right? Jiraiya asked. One of the legendary Sannin who hasn't trained since before I was born. I should be able to get her back in shape. I mean, of course she's stronger than me, but I should be able to handle it due to my stamina and her current lack of training. Naruto said. Alright, Naruto. If you want to fight, then I accept. First, get out so I can get this blood off of me. Tsunade said. Yeah, Naruto. You're too young to see this. Jiraiya said and started to giggle perversely. Oh, but it's okay for you to have a picture of her with her boobs basically popping out of her shirt all the time. What are you gonna do with the picture, pervy sage? Gonna rub one out later with it? Naruto asked. What picture? Tsunade said and glared at Jiraiya, who was sweating bullets. This one. Naruto said and took the picture from Jiraiya as he tried to get rid of it. Oh my. Shizune said as she looked at it. See, your nipples are basically showing. This is what he showed me to track you down since I didn't know what you looked like. Naruto said. Shizune, take Naruto to the forest to prepare. Me and Jiraiya need to have a talk. Tsunade said sweetly and started to crack her knuckles. Yes ma'am. Shizune said and quickly left with Naruto. So, you were peeping on me again, huh? You remember what happened last time, don't you? Tsunade asked sweetly and Jiraiya quickly nodded. Please, have mercy. Jiraiya said. I'm all out of mercy. Tsunade yelled and Jiraiya could be heard screaming for miles. Flashback end. The result of Naruto training with Tsunade was him of course losing, but it was fun. Shizune decided to join in and use her medical knowledge to fight Tsunade since Kabuto was there as well. Jiraiya watched on covered in lumps and bruises since Tsunade only gave him the bare minimum treatment to recover. Tsunade had to admit that Naruto was pretty good for his age and couldn't believe that he only got like this after a month of training. However, Tsunade surprised Jiraiya and Naruto when she used the famous wood style to restrain Naruto after he accidentally started to use the Nine Tails chakra during the fight and started going on a rampage. When Jiraiya asked about it, she simply told him that she's always been able to do it since she was a kid and that was another reason she was around Hashirama so much. She was trained a bit to use wood style by Hashirama himself once he found out that she had it, but she kept it a secret. After the fight was over, Tsunade was feeling like her old self again since she was taking on Shizune, who could probably take on an Anbu member since she didn't slack off in her training over the years, and then Naruto, who was bordering low Jonin level right now. Add in the fact that they fought for over 10 hours non-stop and you could see Tsunade reverting back to her old self. Her water, lightning and earth chakra natures were a good test for Naruto's water, wind and fire chakra natures. Naruto accidentally disrupted her genjutsu during the fight and Tsunade was pissed. That's when things got difficult since she looked to be going for the kill shot. Naruto didn't understand and neither did Jiraiya since she looked the same except with bags under eyes and one gray hair. Shizune was also confused since Tsunade told her she looked like a wrinkly old prune underneath her genjutsu, but she clearly didn't. After the spar was finished, they went back to the hotel and when everyone was healed, they started to discuss the plan. So, pervy sage, Naruto said and Jiraiya interrupted him. Stop calling me that, Jiraiya said and Naruto just ignored him. After we deal with Kabuto and Orochimaru, what do we do after that? Naruto asked. We head back to the Leaf Village. Jiraiya said. Ah, come on. Can't we stay here for a few more days? Naruto asked. Nope. We need to get back to the village so Tsunade can take over as Hokage. Jiraiya said. Fine. Spoil sport. Naruto said and pouted, which made Shizune giggle. Ah, come on, pervy sage. Can't we stay a bit longer? Tsunade asked and Jiraiya's eye started to twitch. No. Jiraiya said. Fine. I heard the next town was opening a brand new hot springs for women only. I guess we'll be missing that as well. Tsunade said and smirked as Jiraiya froze in place. Now for the final piece. Naruto thought and looked at Tsunade, who nodded. I heard they have a contest for one lucky guy to also share the hot springs with them. It's only for one day. Can you imagine the women there? All naked and wet. It's too bad we're headed straight to Konoha after this. Looks like that book of yours won't have any good scenes in it. Naruto said and Jiraiya looked at them with blood coming from his nose. Well, I suppose we could stop for a day or two. There's no harm in that. I'm going to the bar. Jiraiya said and quickly left. He's gonna be so disappointed. Tsunade said. Why? I thought he was a pervert and would love this. Shizune said. It is a new hot spring for women only, but it's for elderly women with saggy skin and boobs that touch their knees. Naruto said and Shizune finally got it. Oh, I see. Then why do you want to stop at the next town? Shizune asked. Because Granny Tsunade is going to pay off her debts with the money she won at the gambling machines. Naruto said and Tsunade sighed. Will you not call me that, please? Tsunade asked. Call you what, Granny Tsunade? Naruto asked and she sighed again. Never mind. Listen, I'll start off attacking Kabuto and once we get to an open space, the three of you are to appear. Both of you will take on Kabuto and I'll handle Orochimaru. Jiraiya probably won't be in any shape to fight tomorrow or he will barely be healthy enough, so after you're done with Kabuto, help me out. I'm still a bit rusty. Tsunade said. Good. I want to get Orochimaru back for what he did to me in the Chunin exams. Naruto said. That's easier said than done. Shizune said. I know. Naruto said. Let's call it a day. Tsunade said. Next day. Well, What's your answer? Orochimaru asked. Hurry up. Lord Orochimaru doesn't have all day. Kabuto said. I'm not healing your arms. I'd rather kill you. Tsunade said, and Orochimaru chuckled. Kabuto, take care of this for me. Orochimaru said. Before Kabuto could move, they had to jump out of the way as Tsunade came crashing down on them with her leg high up in the air and then destroyed the ground where they were standing. Come on, Orochimaru. Tsunade said. It's amazing that after all these years of knowing each other, we've never actually met in combat. Orochimaru said. That's right. Tsunade said, running at them. Don't get your hopes up. You still have to go through me. Kabuto said. It'll be a pleasure killing you both right now. Tsunade said and destroyed the wall they were standing on, forcing them to jump away. She hasn't lost any of her strength. I won't go well for you if she ever connects. Orochimaru said. I can see that. It's too cramped here. I can't fight in this kind of area. Kabuto said. A change of scenery? Orochimaru asked. Yes. I think a change would be wise. Don't forget she still has her assistant, and then Lord Jiraiya is here as well. No doubt he heard the commotion and is already on his way. Kabuto said, and then they hopped away. Perfect. Tsunade thought and gave chase. Open field. Why are you running? I thought you wanted a fight. Tsunade said. With Jiraiya around, a change of scenery was best for us. It's time to end this now. Orochimaru said as Kabuto jumped away from one of Tsunade's punches. Taijutsu was never my forte, but I can handle her. It's clear that she hasn't been training for this entire time. Kabuto said, but then had one of Tsunade's fists buried in his gut and he felt like every bone in his body was broken. What's that about not training? Tsunade asked. Seems you've had us fooled. Orochimaru said. It's not hard. Tsunade said, and Kabuto healed himself before trying to attack her with his chakra scalpels, but Tsunade easily avoided him. Damn it. She's toying with me and it looks like she's not even trying right now. Were the reports wrong about her not training? No, they couldn't have been. We've had our best men on it and they never give information unless they're 100% sure. Time for Plan B. Every shinobi has a weakness and I just happen to know hers. Kabuto thought. Let's see how you fare against this. Kabuto said and cut his hand, then threw his blood onto Tsunade. Nice try. Tsunade said and kicked him away. Something isn't right here. It's a well-known fact that she's afraid of blood. Orochimaru thought, as he watched Kabuto stand up and eat a plasma pill. Kabuto, I will assist you. It seems the reports on her were wrong. Orochimaru said. If you insist. Even without your arms she's no match for us. Kabuto said, and then a puff of smoke happened. Well, it sure took you all long enough. Tsunade said. Blame pervy sage. We had to go look for him and we found him drunk at a bar. He's barely able to fight properly. Naruto said. I'm fine, Naruto. Jiraiya said. Lady Tsunade, are you alright? There's blood on you. Shizune said. It's not my blood. You two can take on Kabuto. Me and Jiraiya can handle Orochimaru. Tsunade said. Isn't this interesting? All three of the legendary Sannin together again. Who would have thought a day like this would happen? Orochimaru said. The Nine Tails Jinchuriki will be a problem. I can't kill him because then they'll come after me and I'd rather not deal with that organization again. However, his dojutsu interests me. I'll have to figure out a way to get that boy on my side. Orochimaru thought. Well, I guess I can handle Kabuto. Naruto said. I wouldn't underestimate me if I were you, Naruto. I'm as strong as Kakashi. Kabuto said. Yeah, congratulations. Are we gonna fight or not? Naruto asked. Naruto, follow my lead. I'm the strongest between the two of us and I have experience. Plus, I can tell he specializes in medical ninjutsu, so I should be able to counteract him. Shizune said. Didn't you tell me that medical ninjas are supposed to hang in the back during a fight? Maybe I should take the lead on this one. Naruto said. No, Shizune is right. She should lead because he can use chakra scalpels to fight and so can she. They'll cancel each other out. Tsunade said. Fine. Lead the way. Naruto said. Naruto and Shizune vs. Kabuto. Kabuto immediately summoned a snake to assist Orochimaru in his fight and then activated his chakra scalpels. Shizune activated her own chakra scalpels and attacked Kabuto. It was clear from the start that Shizune was better at close quarters combat, but Kabuto was no slouch. He managed to cut the tendons in her right leg, but she also cut the muscle tissue in his arms. Shizune ducked when Kabuto swiped at her head and kicked him in the gut with her good leg, and before Kabuto could cut another tendon in her leg, Naruto used the great breakthrough and sent Kabuto flying backwards into a boulder. Thanks for the save. I just need a few minutes to recover. Shizune said. I can handle him from here. I've seen how he fights. Naruto said. You shouldn't take him lightly. Shizune said. I won't. Naruto said. Naruto Uzumaki. I hope you don't think you can beat me. Kabuto said arrogantly. Anyone can lose on any given day. Naruto said. If you can't defeat Sasuke, then you're not even close to being able to defeat me. I'll admit that Shizune has a chance, but you on the other hand have no chance at all. Kabuto said. Trying to use Sasuke as bait to make me angry won't work. I'm looking past Sasuke now. My new goal is to surpass my sensei and then the fourth Hokage. Let me know when Sasuke defeats a tailed beast and then we'll be getting somewhere. Until then, shut the hell up and fight me. Oh wait, do you need Orochimaru's permission to fight me? Seems you can't do anything without him telling you to do it. Naruto said. You should watch what you say. Kabuto said. How does it feel working for somebody so weak? I guess we know who the weakest Sannin is. He lost to an old man while he had Hashirama and Tobirama Senju on his side. If that's who you take your orders from, then I guess you're just as weak as he is. Naruto said. Shut up. Kabuto said. Too easy. Naruto thought. Kabuto charged in at Naruto full of rage for disrespecting Orochimaru and never noticed the smirk on Naruto's face. Kabuto started swinging wildly with his chakra scalpels activated, and each time he swung, it would go right through Naruto. However, every time Naruto attacked, it managed to connect, and that just enraged Kabuto even more. What he didn't know was that Naruto was using the Shunshin at incredible speeds, creating after images of himself, but they were all able to attack him. I've had enough. Kabuto yelled. He was about to attack, but then Shizune used her poison mist on him, but Kabuto held his breath as the poison surrounded him so he wouldn't breathe it in. Naruto tapped his arm as a signal to Shizune to use her poison needles. She shot her poison needles towards the poison mist, and Naruto used his Gale Palm Jutsu to speed them up a bit. They heard Kabuto groan as the needles managed to hit him and smirked. What do your poison needles do? Naruto asked. They'll leave him near death, but since he's a medical ninja, he'll most likely slow the poison down to try and keep fighting. If he was smart, he would leave and try to find a cure, but since you've managed to enrage him, I don't think he'll do that. Shizune said, and the smoke cleared, revealing Kabuto with 3 needles in his arm. Damn it. I fell for a simple trick and now I'm poisoned. Kabuto thought. Summoning jutsu. Everyone looked over and saw Tsunade summon a giant slug. Orochimaru was about to ask for help, but Jiraiya came at him with some taijutsu and Orochimaru was able to dodge some of them, but not all of the attacks. He jumped back onto his snake summons and Jiraiya also went through hand signs. Summoning jutsu. What's up? Gamakichi asked. What the? Why are you here? Where the hell is your father? Jiraiya asked. Long time no see, huh? Gamakichi asked. Of course. Leave it to the world's greatest pervert to have performance issues during a big moment. Naruto said, and Shizune giggled. Well, Jiraiya. Still playing the fool, I see. You always were ridiculous, but this time you've outdone yourself. Orochimaru said. Summoning jutsu. What is it now? Gamabunta asked as Naruto summoned him. Pervy Sage is having performance issues and summoned Gamakichi. Naruto said. Leave it to the pervert to have performance issues during a big moment. Gamabunta said, and even Tsunade laughed at him. There's no respect. Jiraiya thought. I know it isn't the boss summons, but can you take out that giant snake for us? Pervy Sage decided to get drunk last night and now he can't properly use his chakra. Naruto said. It depends. Will there be more barrels of sake as payment for wasting my time on such a weak summons? Gamabunta asked. You'll have to wait until we get back to the village, but yeah, I can get you some. Naruto said. I knew I'd like you, kid. Gamakichi, head back home. Gamabunta said. Sure thing, Pops. Gamakichi said and left. Kabuto, summon Manda. Now. Orochimaru said. I'm on it. Kabuto said and Orochimaru noticed he could barely stand. What happened to him? Orochimaru thought. Rasengan. Everyone looked at Naruto, who appeared in front of Kabuto and shoved a Rasengan into his gut, making him yell out in pain as the jutsu grinded into his stomach. Before Kabuto was launched away, he activated his chakra scalpel and cut Naruto's heart muscles. Kabuto was out cold and nearly dead, as was Naruto. Tsunade quickly rushed to his side and started to heal him before he could die. Orochimaru took this time to grab Kabuto and quickly left. Come on, Naruto. Stay with me, Tsunade said as she was healing him, and then a hand grabbed her necklace. I win, Granny Tsunade. Naruto said with a weak smile and passed out. Naruto. Tsunade said. Don't worry, Lady Tsunade. He's fine. Shizune said. Let's get him back to the hotel. Tsunade said. What about Orochimaru and Kabuto? Shizune asked. They're gone already. Jiraiya said. Konoha 3 days later. So, Granny Tsunade, what are you going to do now? Naruto asked as they were walking through the village under a henge so she wouldn't be recognized. Well, I have to meet with the village elders before I'm officially announced as Hokage, and then I'm headed over to the hospital. Tsunade said. Why are you going there? Naruto asked. That Rock Lee kid you told me about is still in the hospital and I want to see if I can properly heal him while saving his ninja career. Plus Kakashi and your teammate Sasuke are in the hospital as well. Tsunade said. Oh yeah, I forgot about them. Why am I escorting you around the village? I thought the Hokage would have an assistant or Anbu with them. Naruto said. I can't spend some time with my godson. I've missed a lot over the past 13 years and I want to catch up. Now, Jiraiya tells me you're good friends with the daughter of the 4th Cage. Do you like her? Tsunade asked. No, me and Temari are just friends. She needs a submissive boyfriend and I'm an Uzumaki, so being submissive isn't exactly in my blood. Naruto said. Did you forget that I'm part Uzumaki as well? I know all about how being submissive is the last thing we do. Tsunade said. I forgot about that. I guess the Senju last name throws me off. Naruto said. It's alright. Nowadays most people forget that I'm an Uzumaki. Tsunade said. So we're kind of related. Naruto said. I guess you could say that. Tsunade said as they reached the Hokage Tower. Did the Uzumaki have any kind of abilities other than the Hishigan? Naruto asked. Yes. Members of the Uzumaki clan naturally possess incredibly strong life forces. My grandmother, Mito Uzumaki, was born before Konoha was founded, and yet, she lived long into the 3rd Hokage's reign. Usually women stop having the ability to reproduce once they reach a certain age, but Uzumaki women can give birth well after that of normal women. Another trait of the Uzumaki clan was the ability to use their chakra to heal themselves or others. However, using that ability is dangerous if it's used too regularly. Tsunade said. Well, I can't use that ability since I have the 9 tails chakra flowing inside of me. Naruto said and Tsunade nodded. That's right. Also, some Uzumaki have the ability to use what they called the adamantine chains. The chains were mostly common amongst the women of the clan for some reason. The Uzumaki clan also had a unique sensor ability as well as the ability to suppress their chakra signature so they're undetectable. Tsunade said. Is that how I'm able to sneak around so much? Naruto asked. Most likely. You have so much chakra that you stand out amongst everyone, but from what you've told me so far, if you're able to sneak around undetected then you must have that ability as well. Another thing is that Uzumaki members are well known for fuinjutsu, which you clearly are good at from what I've seen you do. The distinct trait among the Uzumaki clan was their red hair. You however get your hair from your father. Tsunade said. Why don't you have black or red hair? Hashirama had black hair and since Mito was an Uzumaki she had to have red hair. Naruto said. That is something I still haven't figured out myself. I was raised by my grandmother and grandfather. My parents died when I was very young so I never met them. I do know my father was half Uzumaki and half Senju. I don't know about my mother. She must have had some strong dominant genes if I have blonde hair. Tsunade said. Maybe my father had strong genes as well since I'm blonde. Naruto said. He did. I'll tell you this, your father was one of the most powerful ninja to ever live. Some people would compare his strength to that of my grandfather and my grandfather was known as the god of shinobi. Your father never reached his prime before he died, so he was on his way to becoming the strongest ninja ever. Tsunade said. Wow. Do you think I'll be able to surpass him? Naruto asked. Who? Tsunade asked. My dad and the first Hokage. Naruto said and Tsunade smiled. Of course. Tsunade said. What happened to the Uzumaki clan? Why aren't there more of us around? Naruto asked. They were simply destroyed. Kumo, Iwa and Kiri joined forces to wipe them out. The Uzumaki clan's skill with Fuinjutsu earned them both respect and fear throughout the ninja world. Our clan may have been wiped out, but they took out half of the opposing enemy's forces as well. There was a rumor that some of the survivors were scattered around the world, but I couldn't find them when I left the village. Unless the survivors did exist and had children, we're the last two Uzumaki clan members alive. Naruto said. Wow. I'm guessing Kumo and Iwa will always have problems with Konoha then. Naruto said. Yeah, Iwa hates us due to the 4th Hokage's efforts during the 3rd Ninja War and Kumo was involved in 2 incidents that involved us. One of them involved your mother and the other involved the Hyuga incident. Tsunade said. What happened with my mother? Naruto asked. I'll tell you that story at a different time. Tsunade said. I'll hold you to it. This is kind of personal and I won't get mad if you don't answer, but did you ever have any kids? Naruto asked and Tsunade had a sad smile on her face. No, but I wish I did. Tsunade said. Why not? Naruto asked. My boyfriend Dan died during the 2nd Shinobi War and I never had another relationship. I've had the occasional hookup before I left with one person, but I could never date him. Tsunade said. So, you and Pervy Sage, huh? Naruto asked and Tsunade froze. What? Tsunade asked. He talks in his sleep. He kept mumbling about some blonde lady who broke his heart and it made him leave for over 20 years. I just put 2 and 2 together. Naruto said. Keep that to yourself. Tsunade said. Okay. Why not have kids with Pervy Sage? I mean it's obvious he loves you and you must have had some type of feelings for him if you would hook up with him more than once. You said it yourself that you wish you had kids, so why not with him? Naruto asked and they came up to a room where the elders were waiting. Not gonna happen. Now, let's go. The elders are waiting for me. Tsunade said. Why should I go in there? I thought this was a private meeting. Naruto said. You already know what's going on and you're my escort. Shizune should already be in there and I'm technically the Hokage, so I can bring whoever I want. Tsunade said and opened the door then dropped their hinge. Lady Tsunade, I'm glad you can join us. However, young Naruto must leave. Elder Homura said. He stays. He knows what is going on and was my escort for the day while I had Shizune working with patients at the hospital. Tsunade said. Very well. Elder Homura said. Are you sure it is wise to have him here? No offense, but he's only a genin. Elder Kaharu said. I'm sure. Tsunade said. This is unacceptable. The boy must be removed. A man with a bandage over one of his eyes said and then looked at Naruto. He stays, Danzo. He'll be on his best behavior. Isn't that right, Naruto? Tsunade asked and then Naruto activated his dojutsu. Will you please deactivate your dojutsu? Homura asked. No. Somebody is trying to control me with a genjutsu and this keeps it from happening. I know who it is, but I'd rather not put the person on blast. So, stop before I kill you. Naruto said and the genjutsu stopped. What kind of eyes are those? To be able to detect and block out the Koto Amatsukami is simply unheard of and impossible. Danzo thought. Very well. We shall allow it, Koharu said, as she already had felt a genjutsu being used. Before we start, how many people are supposed to be in this room? Naruto asked. Only the 6 of us. Homura said and Naruto threw 4 kunai into each corner of the room revealing 4 dead blank Anbu masked shinobi who quickly went up in fire. It seems somebody doesn't know what a private meeting is. Tsunade said and glanced at Danzo who was visibly angered. Damn it. The Jinchuriki is stronger than I thought. I must leave before he makes it known that it's me. Danzo thought and stood up. Where are you going, Danzo? We still have a meeting to get started. Koharu said. I must seek out my personal doctor. My missing eye is bothering me. Danzo said and left the room. Now, may we get started? Tsunade asked. Yes. Listen carefully, Tsunade. We must send word to the feudal lord that the 5th Hokage has officially arrived in the village. All the preparations must begin at once for the coronation ceremony. Koharu said. Can't we just skip the ceremonies? They're such a bore. Tsunade said. Tsunade. Koharu said. Okay. It comes with the job, I guess. One of the perks of being Hokage. Tsunade said. I'll send to Jonin to immediately send word that in a few days from now, we will officially welcome the 5th Hokage. Koharu said. I understand. Tsunade said. Your grandfather would be proud of you. Homaru said. You've met the 1st Hokage? Naruto asked. Yes. We were students of the 1st and 2nd Hokage along with Hiruzen and Danzo. Koharu said. Then you must have known Mito Uzumaki. Was she really as great as Granny Tsunade described her to be? Naruto asked. You told him of his heritage? Homura asked. No. Jiraiya told him of his mother and her name. I only told him bits and pieces about his father, but nothing to give away who he is. I figured since he knows he's an Uzumaki that I should give him a bit of a history lesson. Tsunade said. Why not just tell him of his father? You can overrule Hiruzen's law about his parents now that he's dead. Koharu said. What law? Naruto asked. He placed a secret law backed by the civilian council that would prohibit anybody from adopting you and telling you of your lineage. Homura said. Yes. Quite a bit of people wanted to adopt you and they had nothing but good intentions. I believe Makoto Uchiha, who was one of your mother's friends, wanted to adopt you. The Hyuga clan wanted to take you in as well since Hiashi Hyuga was good friends with your father. A few civilian families wanted to take you in as well since they were also close to your parents. Koharu said. Yes. I believe a few kunoichi wanted to adopt you as well. Enko. But due to her history with Orochimaru, she was rejected and that was when you were about 8. Kurenai Yuhi also wanted to adopt you along with Yugao, Tuki Ikiraku and Sum Inuzuka, who is the leader of the Inuzuka clan. However, the civilians minus the Ichirakus were mysteriously found dead in their homes a few after they were rejected from adopting you. The same happened with some of the kunoichi who wanted to adopt you. They were poisoned, but we couldn't trace it back to anything. Homura said. Enko wanted to adopt me. She doesn't seem like the parent type. Naruto said. Despite Enko being tough on the outside, she does have a big heart. She saw how you were being treated and she remembered how the village treated her once she was betrayed by Orochimaru and came back to the village. She didn't want you to grow up the same way she did, but Hiruzen rejected her and claimed that you were just fine. He even went as far as to place a squad of Anbu to follow her and make sure she didn't come in contact with you. Homura said. Wait a minute. Why would he do that? Shizune asked. Because Hiruzen wanted him as a weapon similar to Danzo. Hiruzen knew about the beatings and you living on the streets for 2 years, but he would sometimes order those mobs to attack you and then play the grandfatherly role to manipulate you to turn you into a weapon. Apparently you were smarter than he thought and you didn't fall for any of his tricks. Koharu said. I always knew there was a reason I didn't trust him anymore. Naruto said. Was he being controlled by a genjutsu? Tsunade asked. No. This was held in a private meeting between us right after Naruto was made into a Jinchuriki. We of course were against it, but he was the Hokage and his decision was final. I was well known for being able to detect genjutsu during my time as a shinobi and Hiruzen was not under any kind of influence. Koharu said. Do not worry though. Enko took care of the mobs after they attacked you. She along with Yugao killed them once Enko was released from Anbu supervision. It was her way of helping you while you were out on the streets. Homura said. Then why does she act like she doesn't know me? Naruto asked. Because Hiruzen had a memory blocking seal placed on her and we couldn't find Jiraiya to remove it for us. Koharu said. I'll remove it then. I've come across that seal during my training with Pervy Sage. Naruto said. I'm sorry. With who? Homura asked. It's Jiraiya. That's what he calls him. Tsunade said. It's funny. Your mother called him the same thing. Koharu said. I guess great minds think alike. Naruto said. If you say so. Tsunade said. Now, I believe you have some patients in the hospital that require your assistance. Is there anything you need before we leave, Lady Tsunade? Koharu asked. No. Tsunade said. I do. When can I get my Chunin vest? Naruto asked. I'm glad you said something. The feudal lord personally promoted you. While you were away he asked for details surrounding the Chunin exams and was very impressed with your involvement. Homura said. Yes. Naruto said. Now, it is with great honor that we promote Naruto Uzumaki to the rank of Chunin. Koharu said and gave him a Chunin vest. Congratulations, Naruto. Shizune said. That just means I'm one step closer to becoming Hokage. Naruto said. You're still a long way from that. Tsunade said. Then you better keep that seat warm for me. Naruto said and took off his hoodie then put on his Chunin vest. We will send word immediately to the feudal lord. Koharu said and left with Homura. Well, looks like we're heading to the hospital. Naruto, you don't have to escort us. Tsunade said. Alright. Naruto and vanished. Dango shop. Anko. Seriously. Will you stop? Your date with Iruka will be just fine. Kurenai said. Yeah, that's easy for you to say. You've been with Asuma for over a year now. Anko said. She's right. You'll be fine. Yugao said. Hello, ladies. Naruto said as he appeared. Hi Naruto. Yugao said. Naruto, I see you're a Chunin now. Kurenai said. Yup. Feudal Lord promoted me himself. I just got back from finding the 5th Hokage with Pervy Sage. Naruto said. Who's this 5th Hokage? Kurenai asked. My godmother. Naruto said. Hey, Iruka wouldn't have told you anything that he likes or dislikes, has he? Anko asked. No, that's not why I'm here. Naruto said. Then why are you here? Yugao asked. I wanted to thank the three of you for trying to adopt me when I was younger. Naruto said. You're welcome. How'd you find out? Kurenai asked. Homaru and Koharu told me. Naruto said. Weren't they the ones who prohibited us from adopting you? Yugao asked. No, it was the 3rd Hokage. He wanted me as a weapon and prevented you and a few clans from adopting me. He even put a seal on Anko to make her forget about her trying to adopt me. Naruto said. Sorry, but I only met you during the Chunin exams, kid. Anko said. Because you have a seal on you. If I'm right, it should be a small seal behind one of your ears. Naruto said. Check behind my ear. If he's lying, then I'll castrate him with a rusty kunai. Anko said, glaring at Naruto, and Yugao checked behind her ears. Yeah, you do have a seal. It's behind your left ear. Yugao said. Then get rid of it. Anko said. I'm not good with seals. Yugao said. Me either. Kurenai said. Great. Only seal master we have is that pervert. Anko said. I can get rid of it. I know Fuinjutsu. Naruto said. Yeah, right. Anko said. I'm a level 7 sealing expert. I was already a level 5 sealing expert before Pervy Sage trained me and now I'm at level 7. Naruto said. Why should I believe you? Anko asked. It's either I get rid of it or Pervy Sage does it and he'll most likely have you get naked for it. It's your choice. Naruto said. I'd do it if I were you, Anko. I've known Naruto since he was a kid and I can tell when he's lying. Yugao said. What? I do not lie. Naruto said and looked away. Then why aren't you looking at me? Yugao asked. Because I don't want to. Naruto said. How long will it take you to remove this seal? Anko asked. Not even 5 seconds. Naruto said and went through 3 hand signs before tapping her behind the ear on the seal. It stings a bit. Anko said. It's because I had to override it with my chakra. It's gone now. Naruto said. Yeah, I remember now. I saw you one day get cornered by a mob and they were about to start beating you until I showed up and took you away before they even got their weapons out. I argued with the third Hokage for hours on multiple occasions about adopting you and he came up with some bullshit excuse that it would make the family too powerful since you're a Jinchuriki. That and he thought my seal would activate if I was in constant communication with you. After that I don't have any memory of you until the Chunin exams. Anko said. I was told it was because I was too high up in the rankings to adopt you, but when I asked for another child he magically had the paperwork ready. Mind you, I was a Chunin until I was recently promoted a few months before I took a genin team. Kurenai said. He forced me to stay in Anbu so I wouldn't be able to adopt you. Yugao said. You 3 aren't the only people who tried to adopt me. Naruto said. Who else tried to adopt you? Kurenai asked. Tsuki Ichiraku, Hiyashi Hyuga, Sum Inuzuka, Makoto Uchiha, some kunoichi and a few civilian families that my parents were friends with and knew about me. He had the civilians and other kunoichi killed a few weeks after they were all rejected from adopting me. They were poisoned. Naruto said. Then why not poison the rest of us? Kurenai asked. You're the genjutsu mistress, so you probably have good sensor ability and would have trapped whoever was sent to poison you in a genjutsu. Anko is basically immune to poisons because her past with Orochimaru and Yugao was in the Anbu. Sum Inuzuka would have smelled the poison. Hiyashi Hyuga from what I know doesn't take any food or drink that wasn't prepared by the Hyuga servants and Makoto Uchiha must have been high in the Uchiha clan in order for him to not get rid of her. Naruto said. Makoto was the clan head's wife and she's Sasuke's mother. Yugao said. Then it's a good thing I wasn't adopted by her. Naruto said and they laughed. So, what are you going to do now? Kurenai asked. Take a few days off. After that, I'll start to train and take some missions. Naruto said. Speaking of training, I want to test my genjutsu on you. Master Jiraiya said you can't be placed under a genjutsu while your dojutsu is active and I want to try it out. Kurenai said. It's true. While my dojutsu is active I can't be placed under a genjutsu. You can help me though. I'm only able to break out of genjutsu up to C rank. Anything higher and I can't do it. Naruto said. Sure. Just find me when I'm not with my team. Kurenai said. Ever thought about learning kenjutsu? Yugao asked. Yeah, but every time I go look for a sword, none of them seem right for me. Even the custom-made swords don't feel right in my hands. I just decided to stick with kunai. Naruto said. Do you know who your mom is? Yugao asked. Yeah. Kushina Uzumaki. Why? Naruto asked. Because after the Nine Tails attack, I found her sword and kept it so I could give it to you one day. Maybe I can teach you some kenjutsu moves. Yugao said. I'm more of a torturing type of person, so if you need any tips just stop by the T&I building or find me in the Forest of Death. Anko said. Okay. I'll see you all later. Naruto said and walked away. It's honestly surprising how much he looks like Lord Fourth and he hasn't figured it out yet. Anko said. Give him some time. He'll figure it out. Kurenai said. Do you think he'd want us to adopt him now? Yugao asked. I doubt it. He said his godmother was the Hokage, so more than likely she's the one taking care of him now. Enko said. That's just the thing. Who is his godmother? Kurenai asked. I guess we'll find out in a few days. Yugao said, and the Enko saw a piece of paper on the table. What the hell? That sneaky little shit, Enko said as she read the paper. What? Kurenai asked. Read this, Enko said and gave her the paper. Enko, as I removed the seal behind your ear, I looked at the other one on your neck. Give me a few months and I should be able to remove it. Naruto. When did he even look at the curse mark? Kurenai asked. I have no idea. I'll see him in a few months, so if he's lying I'll just castrate him. Enko said. Naruto. Naruto was walking through the village towards the Hokage monument to look at the village like he normally does. It's been a hectic 2 months for him and he needed time to process everything. He found a sensei that will actually teach him something, and he just happened to be his godfather. He discovered he had a rare dojutsu, he won the Chunin exams, stopped a tailed beast, made a new friend in Tamari, found out the Akatsuki were after him, found his godmother, and most importantly, he found out who his mother was. Finding out about his clan was also something he'd be grateful for. If it wasn't for Tsunade, then he'd probably never know any of this. He was thinking so much that he failed to see the crowd of ninja and civilians surrounding him, until he had to dodge a kick. The hell? Naruto said. Demon scum. A random Jonin said. I don't know why he's still alive. Another Jonin said. Let's do what we used to do when he was a kid. A civilian said. This time we'll make sure he dies. A Chunin said. You know, I think it's time for me to start fighting back. Years of torture and abuse, for what? Something I had no control over. People fear what they do not understand and it makes them act out. If you remove the 9 tails from me and I survive, what does that make me? Am I still the 9 tails or am I a human? What makes my life so invaluable compared to yours? Naruto asked. You're a demon. That's what. A civilian said. A demon, am I? The third Hokage is dead. Do you know what that means? Naruto asked. Do tell us, demon scum. A Jonin said. It means that I can fight back without any repercussions. It means I will no longer take the abuse I've suffered at the hands of you assholes. How would you like to meet the 9 tails personally? Naruto asked and lifted his shirt, revealing his seal. This is the seal containing the 9 tails. I wonder what would happen if I were to break the seal. Actually, I do know what would happen. I'll release the 9 tails and I have a pretty high chance at surviving the extraction process. Naruto said, and everyone grew scared. No, you can't. The 4th Hokage didn't want the 9 tails to destroy the village. A Jonin said. Then why would you all attack me growing up, knowing I contained the 9 tails? Naruto asked. We wanted to finish what the 4th Hokage started. His wishes will be met. A Chunin said. Wrong. His wishes were for me to be seen as a hero for keeping this village safe from the wrath of the 9 tails. You all spat on the wishes of the 4th Hokage. You all are tarnishing his name and he's rolling over in his grave because of all of you. I'm giving you all a warning. Do not attack me again or I'll retaliate and send you to the hospital. Naruto said. You don't scare us. We kill you and we kill the 9 tails. A Jonin said and the crowd cheered. Fine. If you want to fight, then bring it. Naruto said, and before anyone could move, 2 people appeared in front of Naruto. Ah, Naruto. You weren't going to have all the fun without me, were you? Enko asked and pulled out some kunai. I swear some of you shouldn't be a ninja if you can't tell the difference between a container me a tea contains. Kurenai said. So, who wants to attack first? Enko asked and the Tsunade appeared. Everybody stop. Tsunade yelled. It's Lady Tsunade. A Jonin said. Now that she's here, we can kill the demon. A Chunin said and Tsunade just smiled before she punched him away. Anbu. Tsunade said and 20 Anbu appeared. Yes, Lady Tsunade. A wolf-masked Anbu asked. Take all of these civilians and ninja to the T&I building. I want Anko and Ibiki to teach them a lesson. Oh, and every ninja in this crowd are hereby stripped of their shinobi license. Get them out of my sight. Tsunade said, and the Anbu took the crowd away. Well, looks like I'm going to have some fun. Anko said and vanished. Lady Tsunade, why are you here? Kurenai asked. Naruto didn't tell you. Tsunade asked. Tell me what? Kurenai asked. Never mind. If he didn't tell you, then you'll have to wait. Naruto, come with me. Tsunade said. Okay. Bye again, Kurenai. Naruto said, and they vanished. Naruto and Tsunade, Hokage Tower. Were you really about to release the 9 tails? Tsunade asked. No, I just wanted to scare them. Naruto said. Anyway, listen, since you're a Chunin now, once I'm Hokage, I'm going to have to send you out on harder missions. Also, whenever I have to leave the village, you will be part of my escort. It will be me, you, Shizune, and 2 Anbu of my choosing. Do you understand? Tsunade asked. Yes, but why me? Naruto asked. You want to be Hokage, right? Tsunade asked. Yes. Naruto said. Then think of this as early training for the position. You're still years away from becoming Hokage, but a head start won't hurt anybody. Tsunade said. I can live with that. Naruto said. Good. Now, Jiraiya had to leave the village to get updates from his spy network, but he left you some ninjutsu and fuinjutsu to work on. He also said to work on your taijutsu and genjutsu skills without your Hishigan activated. Tsunade said as tossed him a scroll. Do you know when he'll be back? Naruto asked. Maybe a few months. You can never know with him. Tsunade said. I guess you're right. Do you know if Asuma is in the village? Naruto asked. Yeah, he's either with his team now or just lounging around the village. Why? Tsunade asked. I need some tips on my wind manipulation. Naruto said. He's the best wind user in the village, so it's good to know that you're seeking him out. Have you started working on your ice keke genkai? Tsunade asked. No, I still can't combine my wind and water chakra natures yet. My wind control is still lacking, and that's why I need to find Asuma. Naruto said. When you're ready, come see me. I know about combining chakra natures for a keke genkai, so I can help you out. Tsunade said. I'm getting hungry. Want to grab some ramen with me? Naruto asked. Sure. Along the way you can tell me about the genin in the village. Tsunade said. They left the Hokage Tower and headed towards Ichiraku's while just talking. Naruto asked her questions about her life, and in return he told her more about his. Needless to say, Tsunade was not happy with how the village treated her godson throughout his life and almost went on a rampage. She was disappointed when Naruto told her about the current genin. The most disappointing was Sakura and Ino, since they were basically fangirls. Civilians and ninja in the street were shocked that Tsunade was back in the village, but that all changed when they saw her walking with Naruto. Some glared at him, and one was even bold enough to throw a brick at Naruto, which was easily avoided. Tsunade saw who did it and punched him so hard that he flew through at least 5 buildings before he finally hit the ground. They all got the hint. She was not going to be anything like the third Hokage who let them do what they wanted to him, and that she was going to put her foot down. First things first, Tsunade wanted to do a thorough evaluation of the hospital and the ninja academy first. From what Naruto told her and Shizune reported back to her, both were horrible and needed a serious overhaul. Another thing is she was going to look over the civilian council files. If they were doing anything to hurt the village her grandfather built, then they are in for a rude awakening. All in all, Konoha was about to change for the better, and it would be a Senju would restore the village to its former glory.